25 degrees Celsius, and on the cards that we have today, we're going to talk about project-based learning, and I'm going to give you some specifications with regard to your project, which is an app. And yeah, I'd like to start with the lecture. So let's take our PowerPoint presentation. And okay, I'm ready to start. Right. So Mr. Naya, Mr. Kumalo, Mr. Hadebe, anybody wants to talk to me about what you experienced or enjoyed from yesterday's lecture or didn't enjoy? Unmute your mic and let's talk. What did I talk about in yesterday's lecture? Anybody? Somebody? In yesterday's project-based learning, PBL, nobody wants to say anything. Are you all having problems with your mic or data? Right, so I'll take it that you didn't watch the video or you weren't paying attention, but I'm going to go ahead with the next aspect of project-based learning, and the way I would like you all to define is the definition defining phase, right? So that's what I remember from our first session, which was yesterday. So why do we want to do project-based learning? Anybody? Mr. Kumar, Ms. Jagannath, Ms. Mbele, Mr. Hadebe, Mr. Nkosi?
Sir, yesterday most of us didn't have data. It came in like today, like.
I'm so sorry.
I couldn't attend, so I'm just new right now to this whole thing.
Oh, but don't worry, I recorded the lecture. Would you watch the lecture?
Yes. No, I'll watch it after this because my daughter just came in like now at 10 o'clock.
I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry about that. Okay. So you can't answer the question about why project-based learning. Okay, so anybody else can answer instead of Ms. Mbele? Okay, so project-based learning, Ms. Mbele, is basically a methodology, a strategy, or a technique that I'd like you to adopt for you to answer the question on the next assessment, which is to develop and design an app that will capture data from an ERP application screen. Okay, and you can use this not only in my course, but in any aspect of a project that you would like to develop and design, take to fruition. Okay, so let's go on to yesterday. We spoke about the double diamond, and this is from Prof. Christoph from Munich. And today I'm going to talk about the define block number 2, which is we want to define our project. So yesterday I said let's discover, let's work on that block, and then we'll go on to develop and finally deliver. Okay. So hopefully by now you would have spoken to your teammates and you'd have said, I'd like you to be part of my team, and this is what we're going to do, except for Ms. Mbele, who will have to watch my lecture of yesterday's lecture. And we need to have a few tools in order to be able to access or create our app. And I'm going to give you these tools because we don't have the luxury of time or 6 months to work on the project. We basically have about 6 weeks. Our semester ends on the 22nd of June, and today is like the what's the 11th of May. So we don't have much time to really work on our project, and I'm here to coach you and to assist you. I'm not going to do the app for you, but I'd like it if you could create one. And I'm also thinking of rewarding you if you create an app that's worthy of a prize. I'm going to ask the head of department, Dr. Jolly, and Dr. Mudley, the program coordinator, to sponsor a prize from the department. And maybe we can even send it off to the entrepreneurial studies group and tell them that we developed an app to capture customer details for our ERP system, and maybe we can change that into a system for student capturing. All right, so there's an object, there's motivation for you. So in terms of the double diamond approach, we're looking at the phase called define. In the define, the block 2 phase, you need to choose your problem. Now I'm going to help you to choose what the problem is. The problem is that we want to capture the SAP ERP user interface screen, and I'd like you to develop and design an app for that. All right, so I'm being a little bit specific because of time constraints. In terms of me jumping to a solution, I'm actually going to jump to a solution, but in reality, you should not be doing that. You should not jump to a solution immediately without working out what's going on in terms of evaluating other alternatives. Now, you should have been discussing with your team members, you should have been discussing with other users what and how you want to develop and design it. And some of the problems you found and the questions you need to ask is, will the solution to this problem offer chances for new products or new services? Now, in our case, the assessment that I have and the app that I'd like you to develop and design, it probably will offer you a chance for a new product. Instead of you capturing the student data on a piece of paper or on a database, you are going to capture it on an app on the student's cell phone. The next question is, will the users experience significant advantages when this problem is solved? I would like to think that you would have a significant advantage. The first advantage that I will think that you will experience is you will get a mark for your course. Isn't that cool? Hello? Will the solution to this problem offer chances for profit? What do you think, Mr. Naya? Do you think you'd be able to make a profit out of this? Would you sell this app? Will you win the prize?
If I can, I will.
Oh, great. Do you think you'll win the prize, Mr. Naya?
Maybe not, but I'll definitely give it my best shot.
No, I was talking about visualizing yesterday and positive thinking. Of course, you're going to try and aim for that. Mr. Hadebe, do you think you're going to, your problem is going to give you an opportunity to make a profit? My web trader?
It should. I don't know. Maybe.
Don't say, no, be positive. Yes, I'm going to do it. Yes, it's going to make me a rich man. Yes, I'm going to make a profit. Okay? The next question. Will a solution to this problem offer chances for positive social impact on the community? Will it make the world a better place to live in? Heal our world, make it a better place for you and for me and the entire human race. There are people dying. You know that song? Who sings the song?
MJ.
MJ. Do you think I should become a singer, Mr. Hadebe? Do you have the voice
Yes,
for that?
if you think you can sing. If you think you can sing, go for it, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Hadebe. Thank you. You're good for my ego. Okay, now I better stick to lecturing, right? Okay, so in project-based learning, some of the questions that we need to answer is, one, will it create a chance for a new product? And the app that I want you to develop and design, because this is an IT course, an information technology course, it must give me a chance for a new service. Will it create the experience for an advantage when you solve it? Yes. Otherwise, why are you creating the app? What's the reason for you doing it? So all your assessments thus far, the assessment on MATLAB, that was preparing you for this ultimate aim of creating the app, because you went through a programming module. The app on ethics, not the app, the certification, I wanted you to get to grips with being ethical in your research, being ethical in the way you ask questions. You're not going to ask personal questions. You're not going to develop an app that would create, uncertainty and make the person feel uncomfortable, right? Will offer a solution or make a profit? Yeah, Mr. Hadebe will know what I'm talking about, profit, right? Because he's making money on the web trader. And well, we should have the community at large, right? So we want to improve the community or the social welfare of people, and maybe we can improve the student social experience by creating this app. So examples of a portfolio, I wish I could have done this with you, where we would look at market growth versus market share, and ultimately we would evaluate our project based on the portfolio, right? Right, so let's go and define the problem to be solved by your team. So in your team, you're going to look at a particular user interface screen from your SAP notes, which I did last week. You're going to decide with your team how and what you're going to create, what you're going to do, and you're going to give me reasons as to why you have selected a particular option. What's the basic motivation for you choosing this user interface and how you're going to do it, right? And ultimately, I'd like you to present this. And if you can't present it, maybe you can make a little movie clip and I can save it on YouTube, and that's how I'm going to assess you. We have to become innovative in our thinking and innovative in our approach of assessment. So that's how I'd like you to do it, right? So let's specify the product or the service. Describe in detail what are your properties in this product or service. So in my case, the app would be describing the user interface screen for the SAP ERP system. And I'm going to take one aspect of that, maybe the customer interface, or changing the user details, right? Do not describe a certain solution. So I'm not describing the solution at this point in time. I'm just going to describe what the properties are for this desired product. So in my case, the properties would be that I'd want the user to enter their details. I'd want the user to be able to select from 2 or 3 options. So I'm very broad in my outlook. I need to write a specification list. I'm going to give you an example of this. But just to whet your appetite, in my case, my specification list is going to be, my app must have a label. My app must be colorful, have a colorful background. My app must have a text box. My app must have a radio button. Those are my specifications. My app must be able to work on a smartphone and or work on a computer or laptop, right? So I must be able to provide a link, a QR code, and distribute that to my users. Those are specifications. So what tools are you going to use? Again, this is in discussion with your team or discussion with your users. Again, we just have 6 weeks to work with it. I am going to be your user and your client. You're going to develop and design this information technology app for me. And ultimately, if I feel it's good enough, I'm going to call Mrs. Dr. Lulu Jolly and Dr. Mudley, and we're going to have a little moderation to find out how and what the SAP ERP app that you have created, and whether we can take it further. Maybe we can make a profit out of it. Aha! What do you say to that, Mr. Hadebe? Wouldn't you like to make some money out of your app? No? I thought, Mr. Hadebe, you were my stockbroker.
Yes,
Yeah. There's my stockbroker thinking of, right? Web trader. Now, so think of it like this. This is just a picture to talk to you about. If you look on the left-hand side, there's a specification. You are dealing with the seedling, and ultimately that seedling will grow into a beautiful plant, or maybe it'll grow into a cactus that actually looks like Mickey Mouse on the right-hand side, okay? Yeah, again, this is Prof. Christoph's slides, and I don't know why he was thinking of a cactus. If I talk about the specifications with regard to a bookshelf, so there's an example of a bookshelf. This could be, in our case, the example of the app. This is one example, right, of a bookshelf. I could have in the specification list for the bookshelf, I'll say that the size is going to be 1 meter, the height of 2 meters, and the maximum depth of 40 centimeters. In the case of my app, I'm going to say my app, the screen is going to be whatever 5 centimeters by 4 centimeters, or I want it to auto height and auto length and auto width so that it can fit on my smartphone. Now the bookshelf example, I'm going to say that the weight is going to be 15 kgs. We don't actually have a weight in the app. And I'm going to say that a child can climb on it without falling. So my specification for my app would be that even though a person may be considered computer illiterate, they must be able to use the app. It must be simple in its design. So that's what I mean by a specification list. I'll give you another example of the bookshelf. The surfaces must be cleaned with household detergent. And maybe I want to talk about Mr. Min or Mr. Clean or whatever. So that is an example of a specification list for your app that you're going to create. For me, for Marks, and ultimately maybe with Mr. Adeba's help, we'll make some money out of it and profit. Now, here are 3 examples of bookshelves. One is made of steel, one is made of wood, and it has wheels on it. Another is, it looks like a ladder that's been converted into a bookshelf. This is what project-based learning is all about. I am not giving you the scenario that you need to build a bookshelf that is fixed to the wall. You, as a student, need to come up with ideas and scenarios of how and what I'd like to, or you would like to develop and design. There's another example of a bookshelf. This is actually a staircase. As you're walking up the stairs, there's a bookshelf. There's another example of a bookshelf on the right-hand side. Now, again, it all depends on your specification list. If I had said that the space is a problem and I don't have the ability to design a 5 by 4 meter bookshelf, but I have a staircase and I like to be innovative and I like to use my staircase to store all my books, then I would go with option on the left-hand side. All right. So there's another example of a book. This is thinking out of the box now. Look at that. You would have never thought that's a bookshelf on the left-hand side, extreme left-hand side. What about the middle bookshelf? Right. That looks like you're using the height of the wall, taking advantage of the height of the wall. And the one on the right-hand side, oh, that's circular in nature. There's the circular bookshelf. Ooh, that looks. And what about the one in the middle? That looks a bit. Turn to the left, turn to the right. But what I'm giving you examples are that in the case of a project-based learning, I am not trying to specify to you how your bookshelf should be. Similarly, I'm not going to specify how and what your app should be. I'd like it for you to become creative in your thinking. Think out of the box. Look at the one on the left and bottom right-hand side. That looks like Superman's logo to me. Let's go on development of my specification. So what the customer needs are, you as an engineer or a designer or brand new to app development needs to ensure that you come up with a product that meets my specifications and meets my deadline. That's most important. Like I said, it may be due on the 22nd of June, and hopefully by then I'll know what's happening, whether it's a continuous assessment or an exam subject. We need to know that you would be able to give me a URL, which is a web address, and your app would be created in code.org. Right, so here's my specification list. A specification list does not deal with the solution. So I'm not going to tell you what the solution is, or neither will you in your specification list. A specification list does state all the specific features a product must or should have. My app or your app that you're going to create must have a welcome screen. It must have your picture on it. It must have your name on it. It must have a submit button or a run button. A specification list must be satisfied by all the solutions you can think of. So don't have one particular specification solution. Write down a number of specs for a particular feature. So I'll talk to you about the specification for the button for your app. You are writing the specification list without knowing what your solution is. So you don't know how your app is going to look. Maybe you have an idea because you've seen apps before, but you want to create a list, and think of it like your wish list. Huh? Right, so what are the guidelines for your specification list? Or we could also call this a list of requirements. In my case, I have an assessment for you, and one of the requirements you need to do it is to submit your app by the 22nd. Let's make it the 15th of June, so that by the 22nd I can have your marks uploaded. Oh, on that point, I uploaded marks to column 1 and column 2 of the ITSS system. All right, think of all features that may be of interest for your products. Use the form. I'm going to give you a checklist and precise numbers for each feature. For example, I want you to specify maybe the height and width of the text box. We'll talk about what's the text. Don't give me vague. It must be easy to operate. What does easy mean? Does it mean university graduate needs to be able to apply and use the app? Or can a preschool child be able to use the app? Specific description of the desired feature. I'll give you an example with the app. Your text box needs to have alphanumeric characters entered into that. Explanatory text in the text is allowed. For example, I'll need you to specify some comments in the app that you are creating. Ensure that you have all the source documents, your references for this app that you are going to create. Don't leave out any information, and make reasonable assumptions. For example, if you're going to assume that the user has data on his smartphone and is able to create the app, then that's a nice assumption. If the user does not have data, then obviously you cannot use that app. Or if you are going to distribute the app with a QR code, then you must ensure that the user has a smartphone or a camera phone such that he's able to take a photograph of the QR code. So here's some examples, a guideline for the requirements. In terms of geometry, what's the size, height, breadth, length, diameter of the app? Energy, well, I'm talking about energy, what's the output of efficiency, loss, friction, state, pressure, temperature, heating. Let's go to operation, whether the app is going to be, where can you use it, in which temperature zone? Do you need to specify that you cannot use your cell phone in a particular area? This is just a broad outline for checklist, right? Let's go to cost. What will be the cost of this app? What do you think would be a reasonable amount to charge on the App Store? That's if we want to sell it. Maybe Mr. Hadebe can advise us. Now, there's the important thing, the schedule. When am I going to start the development of this app or this project, and when am I going to deliver the project to your customer, which is me, right? Here's another example of a specification list. So you can take each one, you can say what the feature is, and most importantly, I'd like you to have as a feature the schedule, when you are going to develop and ultimately present this app to me. So let's take an example for you to understand what is a specification list. So if this was a pencil case or holder, and the specification list said that this pencil case holder must be made of plastic, it must be able to hold 10 pencils, it must be green in color, it must be made of recycled material. That's what I expect from you in a specification list. Obviously, with reference to the app that you're going to develop and design. There's the specification list again. I'm going to ensure that you need to make it known that you know how and when to create a specification list for number 16, which is due date. Cost, you can work out what the cost of the project would be. work it out, maybe a few hundred rands or maybe a few under 100 rand, that's what you'd like to. But most important is the due date. So I'm going to specify that it's due within 4 weeks' time. So here's an example of an app. And in this app, I'm going to state that the specification list needs to ensure that you have at least a label, a drop-down, or a checkbox, or a radio button, or an image. Now, yesterday, if you saw my little app that I sent to the WhatsApp, when you clicked on it, it greeted you and said, "Hello, my name is." So if I had to write a specification list for that app, I would have said that I want a picture of the lecturer, I want a greeting from the lecturer, and all that must be, it must work when I click on a submit button. So that would have been my specification list for that app. Here's another specification list. Imagine you define the problem to be solved as an innovative food delivery service. What service do you want to offer? Do you want to offer the end user, a restaurant or cook, or the driver? When will the food be delivered? Within 60 minutes? If it's not delivered in 60 minutes, what's you going to, and so forth and so forth and so forth, right? I just thought of, this is a Japanese pizza. It's been a long time since I had Japanese pizza too. Here's another exercise or an example that you can try out. Imagine you define the problem to be solved as an app that allows users to rent an e-scooter from the street for short trips. And I must remember that Prof. Christoph is from Germany, and in Europe they have e-scooters. And the app that the user has to create would be, he needs to hire the app, the cost of hiring the app, how long he'll hire the app, where he's going to drop off this e-scooter. So those would be specifications that you need to include in your specification list for this app. All right, so you can think of particular properties that you would want, and you would only get this once you start thinking about what you want to do for your SAP ERP user interface screen grab. Let's call it a screen grab. Right? I'll leave out the homework, but there's an example. If you had to press the F1 or the F4 keys on your SAP ERP system, and you saw a dialog box appearing, I'd like you to develop and design something similar to this. So you can take your notes from last week that we spoke about, the SAP ERP system, and the exercises where we captured customer details, or we changed the user details, which was my details, and that's what should appear on your app. Now it's twofold in that, one, you are going over last week's notes, and two, you are also learning an app development, and three, you are getting a mark for it. Isn't that cool? Mr. Naya, isn't that cool? Give me a thumbs up there, or a hands up, or some reaction. Huh? What you say to that? Is that cool or what? Huh? Yeah. Right. So now I've got some links that I'd like to take you through. Let me copy the first link. Let's go to the first link. This is a project that was created in AppLab in code.org. So I'm taking it to code.org. Is it going? Is it working? Is my yay. All right, but you can't see it because I need to change and share my screen. Let me go and share my screen. Right. So what should appear in front for you is the code.org app screen, and I'm going to log in with. Yesterday I did this. Which student did I do this for? Mr. Baleni. No, not him. Was it Ayanda?
I think it was Mr. Pelani, sir.
Mr. Naya, who did I create an account for in code.org?
I think it was Mr. Bellani.
Bellani, right, Mr. Bellani. Right, so I'm going to, let's just allow this to happen. Code.org wants to access my Google Classroom. Right, so let me go and let me show you my app that I created. All right, so there's the app that I created. Yesterday I created this app. Well, not yesterday, last week when I was preparing for the lecture. And I'm going to click on run. Oh, I've been changing this around, right? So I have, let me go back to the previous app. My projects. Okay, now I know what I did. I went and changed it today. It's now saying customer account. Let me go to this app. Right, so let me run the app. And if I run the app, it says, hi, please enter your name. Let's go and enter my name. Prinavin Governor. Welcome to the App Lab, Prinavin Governor. Tell me something about yourself. I am a lecturer and I am teaching IT to ACCOU in accounting and tax students in the faculty of accounting and informatics. And I'm going to click on the enter button. And when I do that, it's supposed to do something. Oops, I haven't finished working on it yet. Oh, okay. I was trying it out. Hi, please enter your name. What course are you studying? Okay. I think I have some gremlins in my code. But I'd like you to try this out, right? So I want you to create a little app, simple as can be, and all it needs is drag and drop onto your screen. So step number one, you'll have to create an account like the way I have. I'm not sure if anybody would like me to do one for them. Mr. Naya, would you like me to create one for you? Or Mr. Hadebe, or Mr. Duma that's there? Or Mr. Buthelezi?
Yeah, so you can create one for me if you want.
Okay, is that Mr. Naya? Right, let's create an account for Mr. Naya, right? So I'm going to say sign in. And I'm going to say create an account. Click on create an account. And I'm going to create an account with your email address. What's your email address, Mr. Naya?
2150 7490.
507490@dut4life.ac.za. Right, give me a password to sign with this email account.
Put my name, Clinton. Okay, it works too.
Okay, you said put my name, right? So I did that. Okay, my name, right? I'm going to say sign up. Oops, it doesn't match. My name. Okay, so Clinton Naya, there we go. I've created one. Okay. And what name can I put? CLINTON. Clinton, you're 21 plus, I hope.
Say again? Yeah, I am.
Clinton, you're gender?
Male.
Or male? Or you prefer not to say? Answer.
Male.
Okay, mail, and let's go to Clinton's account. Your free course are impossible. Da 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 da. What a thing, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Let's not talk about that. That's a sad issue. They are going to do this. Okay, let's get started. Right. So Clinton on the top right hand side, can you see it says Clinton on the top there, right? You will have to access this using your email, and the password is my name, which is really my name. Let's go, and we are going to create an app, right, Clinton?
Yes, sir.
Right. Now on this app, Clinton, the specification list that you are going to give me is, oh, well, I'm telling you out loud that I want a picture of you, right? So I want an image on the screen. So there it says image over there. All right, so I want an image, and I want somebody that's, you know, handsome looking, right? Clinton, handsome picture of you. And let's go and upload an image of you at Clinton. Let me see if I can find one of my nice images. Oh, there we go, Clinton. So that's Clinton, right? So what do you think of your image, Clinton?
It was good, sir.
Right. Let's put a label there, right? Let's put a label. Can you see that, Clinton? I just dragged it across.
Yes.
And I'm going to say, Mr. Clinton, robot. How's that, Mr. Clinton, the robot? Right.
Good, sir.
Okay. Let's run this app now, right? Let's run this app. Mr. Clinton, the robot. It's not doing much, but I'd like you, Clinton, to create a user interface screen which you will capture from the ERP SAP user interface that I was talking about earlier on, right? So if I had to go to my document, let's open up. Oh gosh, I opened up so much. There we go. Right, so I'm open up. Oops, it doesn't exist. Let me open up my. Let me open up. Oops, so let's go on up. Right, so Clinton, yes, you can put your name and all of that, but maybe you can create a simple system like this: description, application, instant number, system ID, SAP, router string. Clinton, maybe you don't like that screen. You could create a screen like this: password, client, user, logon, language, right? Or new password, repeat password, or maybe something like this with the transaction code, search for a transaction, enter search text, or postal code, city, name, customer. Right, Clinton?
Yep.
Right. So, oops, I've lost the screen. Right, so there's Clinton. So now I can going to have a text input. I'm grabbing it. Can you see the specification list? Now it tells me that my text box is 200 points by 30 points by 120 on the X position and 230 pixels on the Y position or whatever, right? Do you get what I'm talking about in terms of a specification list using this program to develop and design the app? Clinton, you with me?
Yes, I am.
Right, so I'm going to put down over there, let's put down, oopsie, let's put a little label there, and the label is going to say, where's my label? There's my label, drag it across, and the label is going to say customer name, or let's say student name, right? Student, because you're familiar with that. I'll do the student experience, and I will expect you to be able to input the student details into this text box. But in our case, the ERP SAP system I'd like you to create is the customer name or the customer address. Now let's run this thing. Let's run it. It's not much. It's not doing very much, Clinton. Right? Student name, Hadebe. Right? And it's not going to do much because we didn't ask it to do anything. Okay? Let's go and put in a button there. So when I click this button, and I'm going to say, I'm going to call this button submit. When I click on submit, it's going to do something. Clinton, you with me?
Yep.
Right. For it to do something, you consider this to be an event, right? So when I click on this button, the button called submit, which is called button 1, that means something must happen, and you will be able to pick it up from here, right? So in my case, let's just say play speech. I won't say hello world. I'm going to say hello Clinton. Right, let's see how that looks. So he's going to type in a name, Hadebe, and when you click on submit. Clinton, did you hear that?
No, I didn't actually.
Oh man. Okay, let me share my screen again. This time with let me share the screen and with desktop sound.
Hello, Clinton.
Clinton, did you hear that?
Okay, yes, I did.
What do you think of that, Clinton?
Very cool.
Right. Let me just add more to that now.
But now what if you want to say play speech and then hello and then the name text box or checkbox, whatever. Yeah.
That's what your project is on, Clinton. That's what you got to do.
No, I know, but how do you do that?
That's what you got to learn. That's the whole exercise of the project, Clinton.
Okay.
I'm just helping you along to tell you that this is what and how I want you to do, right? I'm just giving you an example. So when that button is clicked, you can say, hello, how are you? Or you can make the app that says, please enter in the account number or something like that, right? I'm going to say, Prinavin, thank you. Bye. All right, let's run this submitted.
Hello, Clinton.
No. Let's reset that. Run that. Okay.
Hello, Prinavin. Thank you. Goodbye.
Aha, Clinton, I took your name out.
Yeah, you did.
Right. Now I'm going to share this to yours, to all of us, right? So let's go and share this. Look how easy it is to share it, right? I'm going to say copy this, Control C, and let's open up our WhatsApp. Control V. Clinton's. So Clinton, I've sent that to the WhatsApp group. This is how I will expect to receive your project. Any questions, anybody? And if you want to learn how to make an app, I've got a little video for you to watch. I'm going to do tomorrow. Ayanda, we are 5. This is okay, guys. Okay. Clinton, are you there?
Yes,
Hello,
I am.
Clinton. Okay, I sent it to the group, Clinton.
So I'm not sure if it's my network or yours. You're breaking up.
Oh, maybe it's my network. I'm sorry. All right, so tomorrow we're going to continue with this little app that we created. I'd like y'all to think about it, work in a group, get yourself a group, and yeah, you'll take it from there. But can you see, Clinton, within a matter of 30 minutes or so, we were able to create an app and you are learning the basics of coding. If you look carefully, I can describe to you programming statements which you learned in MATLAB. Okay,
So
Clinton?
is this similar to a program called Scratch?
Similar, yeah. Now in Scratch, that's like for high school pupils and that's like for undergraduate pupils. Okay, this is it's also for high school, but I'm taking it one step further. I'm doing an app for you guys, right? Now you must remember, Clinton, you guys are accounting, auditing, taxation students, and y'all are doing a module that's serviced by the IT department. And I feel everybody should learn to program. Everybody should learn a little bit of coding. Everybody should learn programming. And this is my attempt at doing that in this course. All right, but my main objective is SAP ERP. This is one assessment for me to include the SAP ERP and to cover the basics of information technology. Okay, Clinton?
Yes, I got it.
Clinton. So, any other questions? Speak now or forever hold your peace. Any more questions? No questions. I'll post the link in the chat group and we're going to try this out. Right, so tomorrow, if you have a chance, I'll create another user account for Mr. Hadebe or Mr. Kokota or whoever. Make sure that you've got your data and I will create the app for you to help you. Okay. I'm going to stop the recording now.